Do you remember where you were the first time that you created a piece of music?
I have this like distant childhood memory of me playing this like plastic trumpet toy that my parents got me. Or maybe they didn't get it for me because I don't remember playing it more than once. Maybe it was like a cousin's house or something. And then I ended up playing the trumpet for a few years after. So maybe it was, you know, premonition or something. But as far as creating a piece of music that I'm like remembering, I'd say I think 15 and trying on the guitar and um, learning three chords and trying to do a song with it, I guess.
How long did you play the trumpet for?
Like 6 years.
Wow.
Yeah.
What, from what age?
From 7 till 13.
So did you play in like concert bands and stuff in school, or?
So yeah, because I lived in Belgium until I was 8, so I played up for a year in this this very classical music, like just a music school. Like in Belgium, they have a lot of them that are like free if you live in the village kind of thing.
Yeah.
And so I played for a year there, and then when we moved to France, we found a teacher, and he was like super like jazzy, so it was way more like jazz. So I was really into jazz for a bit. Still am.
When you first started off writing, when you were 15, did that influence weigh on it in any way, or was there anything you learned from playing in, bands or working with jazz that you carried into it?
Yeah, I think there's just like I love to improvise and to like jam it out, but it's funny because I'd say my music now is quite like I, I work on it and like really define the parts, and then we play the parts, and that's kind of it. There's not much space for like.
There is a simplicity to a lot of it too, though.
Yeah,
I think
yeah,
perhaps because of the way it's recorded.
yeah. I'd say that like the setup really influences what like comes out of it. So I'd say, yeah, playing the trumpet kind of early on gave me that like just looking for like lead melodies, I guess, because that's all you do.
Yeah.
You can't sing, obviously, but yeah. So when it came to like playing the guitar, I guess it's always like once you play one instrument, it's kind of easier to just learn more.
Yeah.
And now I just play a bit of everything, kind of mediocre.
When you're saying that the setup influences it quite significantly, what was the setup for this last record that you brought out, Big?
Just home recording in my bedroom in Cessnock. And this flat right next to the motorway, so like isolating the constant noise is really a nightmare. Like I was in the closet with like tons of clothes. Yeah, you just try all the strategies to like make it work, and recording drums at mostly practice studios. On whatever drum kit they had. Yeah, just recording on. First, I was on the tape machine for a bit, which I got on Gumtree, just a 4-track Tascam Porta Studio.
Was that the first time you ever recorded with tape and experimented with that?
No, because I'd done a previous EP slash long EP kind of thing called it's called Bring Yourself to Completion.
Yeah.
And that was also on tape. That was just tape, and then this one on Big, it was started like I just started out on tape, and then quickly realized that I just didn't have the patience to be like, because you can have a lot of tracks on tape if you want to.
Yeah.
Like you can try and make it work, but you have to keep bouncing and be really good at recording and like so that you're happy with the takes that you've done and you commit to them, and that's it. You can't change them because you've just. You know how it works, like 4 tracks, put 3 tracks into one, and then you've got 3 free tracks. But that's just like at one point, like I guess I wasn't good enough a musician for that, so I just switched onto Logic, just bounced all of my tracks, all of my projects onto Logic, and finished it on there.
Were you still keen to try and preserve the feel of the tape in the
Yeah, I definitely was.
Logic?
I think I was, I I mean, it wasn't that long ago, but I feel like a year ago I was in a way different place in terms of like the preconceived ideas I had
Yeah.
about music, and thinking like, oh, I need to like almost choose a path, and I was like, oh, the analog path. Analog is true music or whatever. And so I was just like, oh, tape is the way, and it's warm, it's how it's always been. And then digital is like great and it's warm as well, and you learn about artists that I thought recorded on tape actually just record on Logic, and
Put lots of effects on it and that sort of thing.
yeah, or even just no effect, and it's just like the room they're in, or just how banging the songs are. No, but you know, sometimes
Yeah.
it doesn't matter.
That's the thing, like, if the
It
song's
truly
good, it
doesn't matter.
shines through the
Yeah.
recording techniques. It's the same reason why stuff from like 50 years ago that sounds like shit
Yeah,
still holds up.
yeah, totally. It's just different approaches, I guess, create different sounds, but I wouldn't say any is really any better.
When did you move to Glasgow?
When I was 19 years old, I moved for uni here. So it would have been 2018, the end of 2018.
Because a lot of the themes on this album, which I guess came out a few years after that move, but it looks at, change and growth and that sort of thing. Was that coming from your move to Glasgow in any way, in that change of environment?
Yeah, I think I'm still like just kind of getting used to like being.
I mean, if you look at the ratio of your life, spending 8 years in Belgium and then 11 in France, and then you're only in Glasgow for a few, it's like you're very much still at the beginning of that
Totally.
spread.
I feel like, I'm still like dealing with stuff from all the like moving all the time and not having a very stable kind of home. Like the idea of home really just changed for like a while, and now I feel quite quite comfortable here. But it's just, changes that kind of happen and make your life a little bit more difficult, and they kind of like they tie in with like way earlier processes, and so you just kind of, I guess the music is just a way to deal with that, but also just find a place of like, it's like the equivalent of saying to someone like, hey, how do you feel about that, but in a song.
Have you learned anything about those experiences through looking at them in your music that you hadn't realized previously, or has it given you a new perspective on them in any way?
I'd say, there's a process of like self-analysis, which sounds a bit like wanky and like, oh, he listens to his own songs, like, but there's a sense of like, if I feel really lost about like who I am and what I'm here to do, I just stick on the music that I've made, and I'm like, okay, this is where you were. Doesn't have to be the same thing at all. Doesn't have to be anything.
But it almost preserves like a version, a complete version of yourself.
I mean, it's the value of memory. That's why people fight for like archives and like pictures from when they were young and books and anything. It's just, it's what remains of the past and what can help us, keep up any kind of, tradition or practice alive. So when I listen to those songs back, I'm like, oh wow, you were in such a different place, like you're all over the place. But it's good because I get to kind of like see how I've grown and what I could do different now. But sometimes it's like you find it like a bit
painful?
Not painful, but like,
or uncomfortable.
Yeah, uncomfortable. Yeah, a bit cringy.
Yeah.
Like, why were you so like weirdly honest about that one? Especially because a lot of the songs are just really tied into like what, like they're just little stories about things that happen. So
very open as well.
Yeah.
Like you don't often find yourself using metaphor to kind of cloud things.
Never. Like I find it hard to like use like I love, like the work of poetry and I really admire like people who do that. I think in songs I like to kind of, do I use metaphors?
Like, I
feel
guess
like,
one song that comes to mind is Paris, Texas. Like, what do you see the connection between the film Paris, Texas and what you're talking about in that song being?
yeah. I'm gonna tell you a secret, which will go out to the world, but I've never seen that movie.
Have you not?
I've never
Ah,
seen it.
come on, man.
My friend gave me the DVD after I showed him the song. He was like, "You need to watch that film." Like, I'm really bad at watching movies all the way through.
It's a long movie as well. It's a good two or so hours.
No, it's meant to be amazing.
It is good.
Yeah, I really need to like watch it, and I will. I promise. I promise you, I will. I think, yeah, if it's not like a documentary or a YouTube video, I just find it so hard to. I think fiction in general, as an art form, engrosses me so much, and just reels me in so much. I'm just way too like taken by it to really like give up my energy to it, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
So, and just like awkward moments in movies, I just want to hide under my seat, like shivering.
Why did that film then attach itself to that song? Like, if you hadn't seen it, what was it that kind of put those two things together for you?
I did listen to the soundtrack of it a lot at one point. I just kind of stumbled upon it. I think my dad recommended it to me.
It is a good soundtrack.
It's a really good, yeah, Ry Cooder in general just does incredible like guitar stuff, and I'd watched a film called Buena Vista Social Club, which is this movie about the Cuban jazz music scene, where Ry Cooder just goes and makes a record with all of those like living legends.
Yeah.
And so the record is called Buena Vista Social Club, and then the film that they made is by Wim Wenders, who also made Paris, Texas. So that's the connection, I guess, to this song.
Have you ever done almost like a musical pilgrimage? Have you ever gone to a place like that has so much history that you're absorbed in?
Glasgow, when I moved to Glasgow, honestly. Like, just listening to a lot of bands when I was a teenager, and like, kind of looking up where they're from, like Bell and Sebastian. Yeah. Oh my god, they're from Glasgow. And then, who else? Primal Scream. Teenage Fan Club.
Yeah.
I can't think of it.
Three's enough. Three's always the magic number, man.
Yeah. Three is the one.
You study sociology as well, right?
I do indeed.
How's that influenced your worldview, do you think?
It's made me incredibly depressed.
Is that studying sociology, or is that the university system in general, though?
Oh, that is a good question. Maybe it's the university system, you know. I think, no, but there is like a lot of, I don't know, you try and be very critical, but not critical in the sense of like finding flaws and everything, but just kind of looking at like situations as like social and involving power all the time. So sometimes it kind of like makes me feel like I'm just just a leaf blowing along with the wind and have no power whatsoever in my own, like to really determine anything in my life. And I still have trouble kind of detaching myself from that kind of perspective.
And that's whatever draws you to creating music, because that's something you have complete control over.
Yeah, I think music is like such a intuitive thing that I don't know. I'm done with my degree in 2 months, and to be honest with you, I think I'm done with like thinking like that for a while. I think that's why I've had trouble like really, and that's why I've been so focused on music as well. It's just, it doesn't make me happy to simply sit and describe everything that's wrong with the world, and there's a lot that's wrong with the world. And
particularly now.
And particularly this very week
that
this is being recorded on has just been like the climate report, Ukraine.
Yeah. COVID's still there. COVID is so normalized now as well.
Yeah.
Like, it's such a shit thing, and it's now just something that's kind of accepted. It's not as shit as everything else that's going on. That's the sort of thing.
Yeah, no, like people are still banned from it, but I guess it's just not the main focus of the news anymore.
Yeah. Has what drives your music always been the same, do you think? And what drives you to create it?
Yeah, I think so. I think I'm just always kind of in the mood for like playing music. Like I'll never refuse a jam, or even when I come back home, usually I'll just drop everything, just play music. And I just really, really, really enjoy it. And I really enjoy, there's like different sides of it, I guess. Like there's the like almost the confessional aspect of it, of songwriting and writing a poem that is sung, and melodies that kind of make you feel a certain way, or you're trying to make someone else feel that way. But there's also just the pure, just kind of fun aspect of like muscle memory and learning things, and then there's the kind of technical gear kind of aspect of it, which I'm not too fussed about, to be honest. But that's also interesting. There's so much, I don't know, there's just, you can make your life in music. I guess that's what people do. It's just kind of get engrossed in it.
It's a bottomless pit of things to explore.
Yeah, it really is. And like, I've just been getting back into like, I think I have phases of being extremely restrictive with my music taste and listening to like 3 songs for a month. And then it'll gradually open up, and all of a sudden I'm listening to like so many genres and places and times, and that's also like something that drives me, I guess, is listening to music.
If you listen to 3 songs for a month, like by the end of that, are you listening in an analytical way? Do you have a new understanding of the song after engrossing yourself in it so deeply?
Nah, 3 songs in a month is maybe a bit exaggerated, but
you know what I mean.
Yeah, like there'll be a rotation. I still won't know the words to it. I won't. I'm so bad at remembering words, even my own songs.
Well, that's fascinating that you've got muscle memory to kind of play instruments and stuff.
Yeah. So, what was the question? Sorry.
do you learn something about songs if you listen to them on repeat that much? Like, are you listening in an analytical way and unpacking them a little bit, or
how does it never listen in an
no?
Like no, like I find it really hard to kind of switch that kind of logic on.
That's probably a good thing, though. Like, you hear a lot of musicians talking about the fact that they can't hear music in the same way anymore because they're constantly trying to listen to the production and that sort of thing.
Yeah, no, I'm not. As I said, I'm not really technically that well versed, and I really do. And I guess the analytical side is maybe trying to listen to the whole thing and how every element in a song or a piece of music just kind of interacts with each other, and how intentional those things are. My big thing right now is when the words kind of express something, and then something happens in the melody or the music or the rhythm or anything that kind of shows that word, that kind of like it manifests it. I find that just incredible, because it's like the content and the form just kind of become one, and that's really, I think, the possibilities of like I was gonna say music, but it's more like popular music, like music with lyrics as an art form. I think the possibilities of that as like a message, but also like something way more ethereal as music is. I think that's like really powerful.